Hi scholars, Miss Dodd here. All right, today we have a new and exciting video. We are doing Domain 10, lesson number 4, Declaring Independence. First, though, we're going to get started with some vocabulary. All right, our very first word is the word approved. Approved means accepted or said yes to something. So if somebody asks you about something and if you approve it, you would say, yes, that's fine. I like that. That's good. Next word we have is commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief is the head of the entire military. So he is the person who's in charge. Like the principal is in charge of our school, president is in charge of our country, the commander-in-chief is in charge of the whole military. Then we have the word declaration, and a declaration is a formal announcement. So if somebody is making a declaration, they're making an announcement about something, and they're making it in a formal setting. For example, the judge's declaration made it clear that the man was innocent. And then we have the word independent. And independent means not controlled by any person, country, or thing. In our country, America is trying to become independent from Great Britain during this time. For example, the sentence, the girl's older sister lived on her own and was completely independent. So she wasn't controlled by anyone. She didn't have anyone telling her what to do. All right, we're now going to get ready with our story, which is again, Domain 10, lesson 4, Declaring Independence. Very exciting story today, scholars. All righty, let's go. News of the shot heard round the world spread throughout the colonies. Once again, the colonists sent representatives to a meeting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to discuss what happened and to decide what to do. Again, when we look here, we can see the map of the United States, and we can see where the colonies were. All right, the representatives of the Second Continental Congress were divided on their feelings about breaking away from Britain and becoming completely independent as a nation. Several small battles in Massachusetts colony convinced them that they needed an army and someone to serve as a commander. Okay, so let's see. We can see a picture in a moment of the Continental Congress. Very, very exciting. Again, this is called a portrait, so this would just be a painting. And you can see George Washington right there and other leaders. All righty. General George Washington seemed to be the perfect choice to lead the army. He had fought to protect the colonies before, and he knew how the British fought. Dressed in his military uniform at the Continental Congress, he was respected by everyone, and he was easily elected as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. Washington set off to join the troops from across the colonies in Massachusetts, and he was ready to meet the British in battle. Meanwhile, the Continental Congress continued to meet in Philadelphia. Here's a portrait of George Washington. Among the representatives was a man named Benjamin Franklin, and Franklin was born in the colony of Massachusetts, and then he lived in the colony of Pennsylvania. And he had actually then moved to London, and he had gone there to speak out in Parliament against the unfair taxing of the American colonies and the fact that Americans had no say in Parliament. Benjamin Franklin was very good at arguing, and he was able to get the British to remove some of their taxes on the colonies. Benjamin Franklin had many British friends in London, and after the Boston Tea Party, an angry British Parliament began to just distrust and dislike him. So they didn't really like what he was doing, and they felt like he might have been betraying them after what happened at the Boston Tea Party. And also, then in 1775, Franklin decided it was time to return home, and he arrived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just in time for the second meeting of the Continental Congress. Other representatives were delighted to have someone there who had spent so much time on the other side of the ocean. He could help them decide what to do. Okay, let's see. We have a picture of him too. Okay. And Benjamin Franklin. The Continental Congress decided it was time to announce to Parliament and to the British King that the colonies no longer wanted to be a part of Great Britain. They wanted to declare themselves a free and independent nation. An official declaration would have to be written so that Parliament and the King would take them seriously. Who would write this important Declaration of Independence? The members of the Continental Congress decided different people, so they were thinking about different people. They weren't sure who it would be. Among those mentioned for the job was Thomas Jefferson, and he was a 32-year-old representative from Virginia and one of the youngest men there. Jefferson had not been able to attend the First Continental Congress, but representatives were all familiar with his powerful writing. Jefferson was elected to be its author. Meeting of Continental Congress. Image of Thomas Jefferson. Now tomorrow we will have an activity where we're going to sort through our different important people and we will chart them, but right now we're just learning all about the different ones. Thomas Jefferson went back to the rooms he was renting in Philadelphia, got out some paper, and he scratched his head. He then dipped his pen in ink and he started writing. Sometimes he stopped and he crossed out words and then he went on. He knew a lot of people were going to read this, so he had to make it good. Every morning for 17 days, he got up at dawn and he got to work, writing and rewriting to make sure it was his best work. The Continental Congress liked Thomas Jefferson's work. Benjamin Franklin, among others, changed a word or two here or there, but most of the words remained those of young Jefferson, so they just did a little bit of editing. We've talked about that. Okay. Next page, scholars. On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was approved by a vote of the Continental Congress, and it was sent to a printing shop that night. Wow, that's exciting. Riders headed out across the countryside with copies. In town squares all over the colonies, people gathered to hear Thomas Jefferson's words read aloud. One part is still read again and again today. So I want you to listen, and I want you to think about what you think this might mean, okay? Listen. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words mean that nobody is born better than anybody else, and that people all over the world have equal rights. And we still celebrate this important event every 4th of July. And I guess you could call it the birthday of the United States. And it's called that because that's when we declared our independence. We said, we will not be part of Britain anymore. We are going to be our very own country. Let's see 2 pictures. Oh my, skipping. This is the Declaration of Independence. I know that it's backwards for you and it's going to be a little bit hard to read, but it's just a document that states that our country wanted to be its very own country. We wanted to be separate from England, and then all of the representatives down here at the bottom signed it. And then fireworks, because every 4th of July, we celebrate our independence of our country, which happened on July 4th, 1776. Alrighty, now it is time for comprehension questions. All right, first question. Who was the representative who went to Great Britain, who was very good at arguing, and he got some of British to remove the taxes they had put on the colonies? Okay. What important decisions were made at the Second Continental Congress? Okay. Who was chosen to write the Declaration of Independence? And how do you think the colonists felt when they first heard the Declaration of Independence? Your activity for today is interactive illustrations, and you have two sides. So for part A, I want you to write about one scene from our story, so sentences, picture, and then on the second side, I want you to write about another scene from our story, so sentences and a picture. Okay? Tomorrow we will discuss this, and then we will do a charting activity where we will list the accomplishments of all of our different people. Thank you. Have a great day, scholars.